Hey guys, we are here at Urban Axes and we are going to be going over some of the basics of axe throwing. Axe throwing is something that's new here to the United States. The first location opened up here in Philadelphia back in September. Think of it like darts with a much cooler object that you're throwing and a much more satisfying feeling when you actually get it to stick. There's a couple things that you need to know to be able to come in here and actually look like you know what you're doing. First off, and most importantly, is definitely this blue line here. The main rule here is that you always have to have one foot starting behind this thick blue line. Your other one can pretty much go wherever you want. That means you can have it up really far, you can be standing on it with one foot behind. There's plenty of options there. You really got to pick what works for you. Now that you know some of the basic rules, we're going to go over exactly how to throw the axe. One of the most important things here is going to be chalk. I know it sounds ridiculous, but this is what's going to allow the axe to really slide out of your hand and make it so that when you reach that release point that you know you have to be at, it's just going to slide out easily. And that's honestly what you want. It's the point you want to get to. First thing you're going to want to do is find your spot on that line. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Mine is actually on the blue line with my foot behind. Now, what you're going to want to do, line up your shot. You want this part of the axe here to be exactly at the point that you're trying to hit. For me, I find that my axes always go a little bit high. So I try to aim at that lower half of the bullseye. It's all about finding the spot that you need to aim at for you to hit. You're going to get that accuracy down, but it's all about practice, repetition, and figuring out your perfect spot to stand. There are two types of throws that people particularly try to do. These are just the main throws, so there's also some weird stuff that you could throw out there, but these are the go-tos for most of the top people. The most basic one, and one that most people start with, is going to be the two-handed throw. This one, you're going to be standing at your spot, get your one hand on the axe. I like to have it right at the handle here. Put your other hand over it, kind of grasping it, and then you're going to find that aim spot we talked about, line it up perfectly, full motion. It's all about getting that fluid motion. It's about the follow through and making sure that you keep your eyes focused on the point that you're trying to hit. You're trying to get that follow through afterwards once you're done with your throw, because that's going to make sure that you get that fluid, same motion every single time. So there are a couple variations to the two-handed axe throw. As you can see, I choose to go with the step method. Some people try to go with the method of not moving their feet. So they're locked in their position. You can do this. You can get as far up as you want, as long as you have that one foot within the blue line. They kind of just line up, same way that I do. And it works a little bit better for them usually. Some of the more advanced people, and people that we ended up facing in Toronto, decided to switch over to the one-handed throw. This one is a little bit different. It might take a little bit more strength to accomplish, but it can get a lot more power behind it if you know how to do it. This one I line up the same way that I do my two-handed shot, but I'm keeping it off to the side a little bit. You're pretty much lining it up the same way. I'm making the same fluid motion that I'm doing with my two-handed shot. So as I'm stepping, I'm pulling back and then going to release the axe. Sometimes that works out well for me. I just don't feel like I get the accuracy that I do with my two-handed shot. There are some variations to this one-handed shot as well. Some people do the step as I did. Some people actually take several steps when they're going for it. So they will start super far forward here and take a big step, kind of flick the wrist and get that in there. That one is completely different. It's a hard throw to learn, but it gets you really close to the board, so once you got it down, you can get some serious accuracy. One of the most important things to learn when you're throwing axes is how to adjust your throw based on how your axe is hitting. If you do happen to hit with your axe head like this, what you're going to need to do is move a little bit forward. This will cause the axe to have less of a rotation, and it will hit the board sooner than it would have when it's hitting your top of your axe here. If your axe happens to be hitting like this and not really sticking well and kind of bouncing like this, then you need to step back a little bit. It's all about making the adjustments. If you find that you're taking these steps and it's still not working, you might need to adjust where you're holding the axe. If you choke up a little bit, it's going to give you the same kind of adjustment that moving forward would, but without actually taking those steps. It's the same thing if you move your hand down a little bit. You throw just with 2 fingers, it's going to give you more of a rotation on your throw, and it's going to change up the way that your axe flies. One of the biggest pains when you're a new thrower is actually new boards. When these things get set up, I used to not want to throw. I would try and push my game to the next one. I did not want to be the one throwing. These new boards can be rough. They will bounce your axe way more than something that's kind of chewed up a little bit like this. The best thing that you can do, make sure that they wet the shit out of these boards. There's spray bottles all over here in Urban. Get them to spray these down so that they are drenched completely. That's number 1. Number 2, stand back a little bit. Wherever you're normally throwing, that spot that you found at the line, you need to move back a couple steps, maybe 1-2 steps, and your axe, it's going to change your rotation. So if your axe is landing flat like this, this is likely why it's bouncing on a new board, is because it is landing flat. What you're trying to do with that step back, tilt it this way. If you land like this, you're going to stick 1,000,000 times better on a new board than you would flat like this. It's the only way to do it. It's one of the most important things you need to learn, and once you learn that, you can actually screw other people over by setting up new boards when you're against them. It's a good thing to learn when you're in a league who is good on the new boards and who can't really throw on them.
Looking to try out some of the skills you learned in this video? Click on the link below to sign up for a session at Urban Axes. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, giveaways, or sweet products we'll have for sale.